That's right. I obviously can't destroy the earth. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Signs that spring is peeking ahead towards summer. My pool is now open. Despite the chill, there's a hint, at least one day this week, of warmer temperatures, and some of our seasonal members are returning, so welcome back and Shabbat Shalom. Kabbalat Shabbat, the psalms and songs with which we welcome Shabbat, begins traditionally with Psalm 95 and Psalm 96, pages 130 and 131.
Kabbalat
135, exalt Adonai our God, and bow toward God's holy hill, for Adonai our God is holy. That is the name of the portion this week, Holiness, Kedoshim, Parshat Kedoshim. We will come back to that later. The last paragraph in Hebrew on 135, Gomemu Adonai Eloheinu.
Ramemu Adonai Eloheinu v'nishchatavu b'har HaKodesho. Ramemu Adonai Eloheinu v'nishchatavu b'har HaKodesho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Ramemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Ramemu. Ramemu Adonai Eloheinu v'nishchatavu b'har HaKodesho. Ramemu Adonai Eloheinu v'nishchatavu b'har HaKodesho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Ramemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Ramemu. Ramemu Adonai Eloheinu v'nishchatavu b'har HaKodesho. Ramemu Adonai Eloheinu v'nishchatavu b'har HaKodesho.
Lachadodi, pages 138 and 139. Our usual stanzas 1, 2, 5, and 9. Next week, 3, 6, 7, and 12. Just kidding.
Really?
Just kidding.
That'll be fun.
Yeah. Especially stanza 12.
Lecha dodi likrat kalai yalalai 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 penei Shabbat nekabelah. Lecha dodi likrat kalai yalalai 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 penei Shabbat nekabelah. Shamor v'zachor v'dibor le'echad, hishmiyanu el ha'meyuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo le'echad.
we communicate with you in many different ways. Through stance, through body language, through things that are obvious when we say, this is what we're doing, and things that are more subtle. This week leads into Yom HaAtzmaut. So one of our more subtle messages was the Israeli composer we just used for L'cha Dodi, and the Israeli composer we are turning to for Shalom Aleichem on page 142.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Imelech Malachei Malachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Vochem leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruch Hu leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedechem leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
May we come in peace. May we depart in peace. May it be a week of peace. Chetzi Kadesh, page 144. Please rise.
יתקדש ויתקדש שמי רבה.
Amen.
יעמד יברח אלוהי וימליך מלכותי. בחייכם ובגאונכם ובחיי כל בית ישראל. בעגלה ובזמן קריב במהרה. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עולמיה. יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, יתפאר ויתרומם, יתנשא ויתהדר ויתהדר ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה. לעילא ממך ברכתך, משיבתה. ושבחתה ונחמתה, תאמירה בעלמא, במהרה. ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
Baruch Adonai Haolam le'olam va'ed.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
We face each other but remain standing. 148. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidbaro ma'ariv ha'ravim v'chokhma poteach sha'arim ובתבונה משנה עיתים ומחליף את הזמנים ומסדר את הכוכבים ומשמרותיהם ברקיע כרצונו בורא יום ולילה גולה אור מפני חושך וחושך מפני אור.
ומבדיל יום ובין לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה.
151, then back to the last paragraph in Hebrew on 150. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch Shema. Page 155 in the small print, the very last paragraph on the page from the Talmud together. Abaya said, spread the love of God through your actions. If you yourself study and help others to do so, if your business activities are decent and trustworthy, what will people say? Have you seen the behavior of one who studies Torah? How beautiful! What a fine person! Thus Isaiah taught, you are my servant Israel, I will be glorified through you. Michamocha on page 158. Page 161, the English setting of Hashkivenu tonight.
Shelter from my soul.
So I guess that wasn't entirely in English.
No, not
There was, which reminds me that tomorrow, in the afternoon European time, so we should know something about it by the time even that services start perhaps, is the next level of the Eurovision competition. And Eden Golan, 20 years old, bravely representing Israel, has had to be almost confined to her hotel room for her own safety because of the amount of anti-Israel protests. There were thousands, there may be tens of thousands of anti-Israel protesters tomorrow. Her song, Hurricane, is mostly in English, but there is Hebrew towards the very end, and that is when people just started booing just to hear the language. And the song Eurovision is supposedly non-political, but the song had to be rewritten 3 times because it was explicit in its references to October 7th. It still has quite subtle references. For those of you who have not heard it yet and have not seen her, I posted a link to the video on my own personal Facebook page. And you know, despite tension, and I don't expect her to win, but she has made it to the final 10, which is amazing. What?
Americans can vote. You can go online and Americans can vote.
Oh, I did not know that. So,
Americans can vote up to 20.
well, I want to vote if it's the best song for the best song, but it is
It's
good.
gonna be the best song.
It is good. It should be the best song. I don't want to vote just because she's Israeli.
Americans can vote 20 times per credit card. It doesn't cost anything.
Per credit card?
Yeah, you have to have a credit card.
How many credit cards do we have?
All this
And you can
from
go
one
20
line of
times.
Hebrew.
All this from one line of Hebrew, that's right. But I urge you to listen to Hurricane, and I didn't know we could vote. So,
On the Eurovision side, you can vote.
so
Starting tomorrow.
it is tomorrow, but you know, you'll be here during the contest. You'll be here at services at 10:30, but we will find out about it as well. We continue with Vishamru, page 162. Amidah, the Tefillah. Beginning on page 164, we rise and we face peace.
Adonai, Sefer Taktivta, U'ufiya Gitehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu Bimotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sama, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor HaTorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'koneh HaKol, Ve'zocher Hasei Halot V'imahot, U'nevi'u La'li B'neihem, Le'man Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol atah, Rav le'Moshiach. Moni ha'akal, Mechakel chayim b'chesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim. Zomet noflim verofeh olim, umatir asurim, umechayeh emunato lishenei afar, nichamocha ba'ilurot, unidomelach, melech memit umechayeh, u'matzliach Yeshua, v'ne'eman atah l'makayot ha'u. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh ha'ol. Atah kadosh v'shivcha ha'kadosh, v'kadoshim b'kol yom Eloka selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el ha'kadosh.
You may be seated, page 178.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki ata melech Adon, lechol hashalom. Ki ata
inside back cover. Mishaberach Avotenu, Avraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov, V'imotenu Sarah, Rachel, v'Leah, V'yivarech, v'yirapeh et ha'cholim ha'ela. God have blessed our ancestors, send your blessing and healing to the following of our friends: Sue Harrison, Larry Wright, Cynthia Baylor, David Wetzel, Sonia Kaplan, Rabbi Bradley Bliefeld, Sarah Bat Miriam. Are there other names in the prayer for healing?
Hannah Rubin and Frank Sills.
Sam Goldwasser at Brendan State.
Kevin Kennedy.
Al Berber.
John Russell. Sarah Burns Lowry.
Gordon Barry, James, Susan Gallagher.
Baruch atah Adonai Rofeh Cholim. We praise you, O God, who helps us heal, who hears our prayer.
Mishaberach Avotenu, Avraham, Yitzhak, v'Yaakov. Mishaberach Imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, v'Rachel. May the one who bless our mothers, may the one who bless our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. Bless us with the power of your healing. Bless us with the power of your womb. May the pain and loneliness we're feeling be diminished by the power of your love. Mishaberach Avotenu, Avraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov. Mishaberach Imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, v'Rachel. May the one who bless our mothers, may the one who bless our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. Hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well.
The Torah, as you know, in its form in the ark, is in a scroll. It is on animal skin of any kosher animal. There are no tofu Torahs. And it is handwritten. It is written also entirely in consonants. So there are different legitimate readings of some words until the tradition developed about what those words were. In the 7th and 8th century, in the city of Tiberias lived a group of scholars known as the Masoretes. And the Masoretes were, I guess you could say, filled with OCD, grammar nerds, since they are the ones who, frankly, they actually invented the vowels. It wasn't the only vowel system. There was a vowel system of dots and squiggles above the letters. That didn't take. But the vowels, the dots and squiggles that go most, sometimes next to, but mostly under the Hebrew letters, were developed by the Masoretes. But they did more than that. They determined if something was a hapax legomena. What's a hapax legomena?
It's
A word that only appears once in the entire Bible. And one of the issues of that is, we don't have any native speakers of biblical Hebrew. So you can't say, oh, what does this word mean? Because that's the best way to find out what a word means. If a word only appears once, I guess you got to go look at the cognate languages, the cousin languages, and see, does it appear in Akkadian? Does it appear in Aramaic? And what does it mean in those languages? They determined if a word appeared only once. They were the ones also who counted. They counted whether words were, what the middle letter of the Torah was, what the middle word of the Torah was, how many letters, how many words total. And what's the purpose of that, by the way? Torture. Well, besides that,
You don't tip it.
so you don't tip, right? If you know what the middle letter is, and you know what the middle word is, and you're checking your scroll, and that's not the middle letter, and that's not the middle word, what do you know? You've got a mistake somewhere in the first half. Today there's an app for that. Actually, I'm not making this up. The scribes that come to check Torahs, which we need to talk about at some point, can take it and take the app and go through, and it'll tell you if there's any mistakes in the Torah somewhere. But it was handwritten. This was so there. The question of what is in the middle of the Torah. So I don't think this is exactly the middle, but very, very close to the heart of the Torah comes this week's portion. Leviticus chapter 17 through 24 or 26, I'll check before tomorrow morning, is something called the Holiness Code. There is a great debate about whether the Holiness Code, as a source, came after the rest of Leviticus or before it. And my nafkamina, what's the practical difference? I'll tell you tomorrow morning during Torah study, and we have a very special PowerPoint for Torah study tomorrow morning. Join us at 9:15 before the 10:30 service in here tomorrow morning. It's really a nice PowerPoint presentation on Kedoshim, and we'll talk about the Holiness Code. But there in the heart of the Torah is the Holiness Code. And there in the heart of the Holiness Code, in the heart of the book that is the very most gross book of the Torah, the skin disease and sacrifices and blood and suet and feeding the fire and how do you slaughter this and how do you do that. In the middle of the book of Leviticus, at the heart of the Torah, comes a verse that is so powerful that I once met a Christian minister who forgot that it was in the Old Testament at all. It is the verse, Ve'ahavta l're'echa kamocha. Now you know what the word ve'ahavta means. It means, and you shall love, right? The other two words are the problem. The normal translation, the usual translation of this, Ve'ahavta l're'echa kamocha, one of the most important verses in the Torah is what? You shall love your neighbor as yourself. And I'm going to explore briefly three meanings of that verse. The most common, the most powerful, the most important reading, I think, is the one that is the common association with it. What does love your neighbor as yourself mean? Treat everyone the same way, right? Equality under the law, by the way, that is the great distinction between biblical law and, say, the Code of Hammurabi, is equality under the law. In Hammurabi, if you were a master and you put out the eye of a slave, you were fined. But if you were a slave and you put out the eye of a master, you were killed. An eye for an eye means an eye for an eye. It's not about harsh, terrible. It's about equality under the law. So, love your neighbor as yourself is an expression of this impulse of treating everyone with decency, like a mensch, fairly. That's the most common interpretation. I want to share with you a very disturbing reading, and then a very psychological reading. The disturbing reading is this. It plays with the word re'echa. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. What does neighbor mean? It means one who is like you. Thus taking one of the broadest universal loving impulses, what?
You made it worse.
What? Thus taking one of the most broadest universal impulses in the Torah and taking and making it restrictive only to those who are like you. The ultra-Orthodox in Israel interpret this verse as you shall love your Shomer Shabbos, Shomer Mitzvot, ultra-Orthodox neighbor as yourself. You shall love somebody who is in your neighborhood, who behaves like you, who acts like you. That's the one you shall love. The circle of our concern only extends as far as those who are like us. That is a reading of this verse that I found almost antithetical to what I thought it meant, and I think to its original context as well. I don't think that's a fair reading of this verse. This is the same tradition, of course, that says there shall be one law between the citizen and the stranger among you, the Ezrach and the Ger, right? This is the biblical tradition is replete with the social impulse towards meritocracy, towards equality, towards treating people with decency. So I think this is a misread, but that's an active reading of this verse. There is a psychological reading as well. Ve'ahavta l're'echa kamocha. You shall love your neighbor like you love yourself. And so in a world in which we don't always put our needs first, which we don't always think that what we stand for is legitimate, in order to love another, you have to love yourself. This is a balance between decency outward and dignity inside. And so I think that is a powerful reading. Last Shabbat morning, at the bar mitzvah here, if you have not been at a bar mitzvah that I officiate at, I invented something. It's actually spread to some other synagogues, but I invented the idea of having the kids come. I did, whether other people invented it independently or not, but of having kids come up and ask questions after the young person is done with the final aliyah. And you never know what questions you're going to get. And when I invented this in Erie, Pennsylvania, somebody said, does that beanie thing on your head indicate rank? Does the color indicate rank? And I'm going, Catholic kid. Clearly. As it happens, finally, after dead silence and awkward uncomfortableness last week, one girl did ask about the head covering. And I said the following. You know this is called a yarmulke in Yiddish. What's it called in Hebrew? A kippah. So what's that shmata thing that all these protesters are wrapping around themselves now? What's that? Kafia. You know that in Hebrew, the pei and the fei are the same letter, right? Just depends on whether there's a dot in it. In fact, you know that there's no such thing as Palestinians? I'm not saying this like old right-wing, say, oh, it's an invented people. I just mean there is no pa in Arabic. There's not even pita. There's fita, right? Palestinian. There's no p, right? But in all other Semitic languages, the p and the f are the same letter. Kippah, cap in English. Cappuccino, decapitate, a Yiddish keppah. And kfir. It is a reminder to me, as much as we are fighting Kamocha. Kamocha. Julie and I, before we were dating, and we were friends, and interested, well, I was interested in her, but that's a different story. Went to Egypt together during our junior year of college when we were both in Egypt, in Israel on separate programs. And when we were in Egypt, not knowing Arabic, when we were doing things like directions or fruit and veg, we guessed. And I don't know, a third, half of the time, the word was the same. Islam and Orthodox Judaism have more in common with each other than either one does with Christianity. I'm not saying Reform Judaism was sort of modeled self-consciously on versions of Protestantism, so it's not true of all branches of Judaism, but Islam and Orthodox Judaism have more in common than either one does with Christianity. Arabic Palestinian culture and Israeli culture, Kamocha, are actually quite close. If we can get past the conflict, we can create something beautiful together. But the circle of our concern cannot be limited only to those who are just like us. Justice, self-defense, standing up for ourselves are Jewish values. Care for the suffering, even of our enemies, diminishing from the cup of joy at Passover. Ve'ahavta l're'echa, finding a way in our hearts somehow to care for not the ones who want to kill us, but whatever percentage don't. Somehow, that's a Jewish value too. Shabbat Shalom. Aleinu is on the bottom of page 586 the Omer is on page 570 as we turn to the Ark. The proper liturgical position for the Omer blessing during the service is in fact at the Ark right before Aleinu. So it's properly placed in the book, page 570. For those of you not familiar with the Omer custom, there is an explanation of this on the bottom of page 570 if you have your reading glasses on.
In short, we are counting from Pesach up to Shavuot. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu הספירת האומר, היום 18 יום, שהן שני שבועות וארבעה ימים,
By the way, it's 2 weeks and 4 days, the 18th day together. Today is the 18th day, which is 2 weeks and 4 days of the Omer. The bottom of page 586.
עלינו לשבח לאדון נעשה תפילה ליוצר בראשית שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה שלא שם חלקנו כאן וגומר עלינו ככל המונם ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים Adonai hu ha'Elohim
join us for candles and kiddush following the service tonight. And as I have mentioned already several times, but we'll do one final pitch. No, I'll break that promise. I'll say it again later. Please join us tomorrow. This is a special joint service with Shirat Hayam. We were at Shirat Hayam a few months ago in March. It was a wonderful service and followed by a luncheon, but we are adding in Torah study at 9:15. As I said, we've got a sort of beautiful PowerPoint teaching about Kedoshim. That's 9:15 in the Cohen Library. That is also available on Zoom. 10:30 we will be here in the chapel with Cantor Harrison, with our accompanist Tom Adams, and with Cantor Jackie Maneker, and sadly we were to have been joined by Rabbi Gordon Geller, but we will remember him in a few minutes, and then also tomorrow morning. The service is followed by a luncheon, which Susan has been worried about for 2 months and busy preparing for all week, along with Shelley.
I didn't buy the food 2 months ago, not tomorrow.
No, you've been worried about it for 2 months. You've been working on it for a week. And please join us for the luncheon following. If you can come, bring friends with you. If you can't come, send 2 friends. So please join us tomorrow. I really do want this joint experiment to work. So please join us. The communal celebration of Yom HaAtzmaut, Israel Independence Day, beginning with an observance of Yom HaZikaron, which is Israel Memorial Day, is this Monday, May 13th. It begins at 5:30 at the Margate JCC. It opens with a Yom HaZikaron, a Memorial Day observance, and then transitions into the celebration. That's a very fraught moment in Israel, by the way. I once started my junior year in college when I lived there. We started the Yom HaAtzmaut party about 5 minutes too early. And our neighbors across the apartment came and started screaming at us for starting it a little early before Yom HaZikaron was over. The spiritual community we sometimes borrow music from, Beit Tfilah Yisraeli, invented a ceremony about 5 years ago, which should have been invented 25 years ago, but it's a Havdalah service. It's a transition service from Yom HaZikaron into Yom HaAtzmaut, because if any moment needs a sort of careful, guided transition. And then, of course, we went out. Have you been in Israel during Yom HaAtzmaut ever? You have? You lived there, yeah. So, I just, my indelible memory of the celebration is not necessarily fireworks, not necessarily, picnics, but is of, I go out into the street and then I run into a family and some father lifts up his little kid, and all of a sudden I find myself bopped on the head with a hammer that is a plastic hammer and goes beep, and that's one of the ways people celebrate. Well, that was my memory of Yom HaAtzmaut. So yay to the Jewish independence, beep! Save the date, Sunday, June 2nd at 4:30 for our annual summer barbecue here. Food, fun, games for all ages. Please RSVP to the temple office. Shabbat Shalom. Kaddish first. But that's a good ending. There are stars whose radiance is visible on this earth, though they have long since ceased to exist. There are people whose warmth and whose goodness continue to shine for us, though they are no longer among us. These stars which shine in the dark of the night, they light the way for humankind. We do not mention at this time for Kaddish, even though I'm mentioning him anyway. Somebody whose burial has not taken place yet, but we lost a member of our board, a long-standing member of our congregation, somebody who's here every Friday night, Drew Lishan. A terrible loss. That funeral is Tuesday. So he is not included in these names. But we include the names of our congregation's beloved whose yahrzeit occurs on this Shabbat. Eva Bernstein, Martin Blatt, Pearl Goldberg, Harry Harrison, Max Mayer, N. Lee Perkins, Jacob Robinson, Sidney Rosen, Gilda Siegel, Louis Schussman, Hertha Sless, Bernard Stern, Meyer Waldman, Emma Wilson, Minnie Wolf, Lena Wolowitz. During this period of Shloshim, the 30 days following their deaths, we mentioned Dr. Arnold Young, Rabbi Gordon Geller. Anyone else here to say Kaddish for someone whose name I did not mention?
Mary Lauer.
Mary Lauer. Memories of all of our loved ones are with us. Our griefs and sympathies are mingled as we turn now to page 598, and we rise as a congregation for Kaddish Yatom, the mourner's Kaddish. Yitzgadal v'yitzgadash shemei rabba, v'almad yivrach genutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayei v'yomei v'chayei l'kol beit Yisrael, b'agalav v'zman ka'id v'imru amen. Yehei shemei rabba v'barach le'olam olmei olmaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei t'kudusha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, da'meran b'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, uyaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn among us and wherever they may be, all those who are suffering the pain of loss everywhere, and together let us say, Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mromav, uyaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol yoshvei tevel.
Written at her home on the kibbutz she had gone to when she immigrated to Palestine from Hungary. Before her last fateful and fatal trip back to Europe, parachuting in to rescue Jews from Hitler's terror. Looking out at the water, not far from Israel's only golf course and Bibi's personal residence now. The song is actually called Halicha Caesarea, a walk to Caesarea is the English. I can't say the English, it's Caesarea. A walk to Caesarea. It is known more popularly, page 653, as Eli Eli. Shabbat Shalom. And since I said it wouldn't be the last time, please join us tomorrow. Shabbat Shalom. Yes, this Thursday Friday is the last one. The one that was scheduled for the 23rd, I'm going to be I'm going to be at the Harvard graduation, and we'll see how it goes. Your right hand.
I can barely keep track of all things. Right. Hers are brown. I know she needed. dog's housebroken. They come over a little bit?
What?
They come over.
Yeah,